serve you. You couldn't go on. You had to call, there's another type of cab there. There were blue cabs. Now, the blue cab would take you. And that was going out to the base under AU command, Air University command. That's what I tell you. That was something.
Mm. Mm.
And in town, same thing. Shoot, we had our own. Well, just like, well, I don't know about here in Commerce, but kind of like I'll say it used to be, because I don't be going around these clubs and joints and things now. But I know back during the day when I was here, they have their own club, their own juke joints, dance clubs, or fun clubs, or whatever you call it. They had theirs, and the blacks had theirs.
Here in town.
Yeah, here in Commerce, and until Commerce become wet, and that was shortly after the most of us were registered to vote at that time. We had started voting, and they would you could just go to joints and things all downtown. But when they voted it wet, and the college students out here, they were the ones responsible for getting it wet here in Commerce, because the citizens, those good Baptists, and all those citizens of Commerce, they didn't want nothing to do with no liquor and stuff, you know, being brought into Commerce, or beer.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd rather let you drive over to Dallas, some other little short town of Oklahoma or somewhere, and get it and have a wreck coming back or whatever. They didn't care. And Greenville over here, shoot, if you got caught coming through Greenville with anything over a fifth, you weren't allowed.
Mm.
What the law said, for your personal use. Well, now they said that your personal use was a fifth of whiskey. That's what they come up with. So, in other words, but now, that was if you were of color. But people of other nationalities, because now my auntie, she worked for Dr. Connors. He was a doctor. She worked for him, cooking and everything else in the house, and cleaning and all this. And so she introduced me to him, and he says, "You go to Dallas often?" And I told him, "Yeah." Well, see, he and his wife, and they had parties and they would drink. So he said, "Well, here," says, "I'm going to pay you to go over to Dallas and I want you to bring me back a case of," he drank that White Horse Scotch, White Horse Scotch, which. So he said, "I want you to go over there and get me a case of Scotch." And he says, and he sit down and wrote something down. And he says, "Now, in the event, in the case you get caught," he said, "Well, you're working for me." He said, "That's it."
So,
Additional use.
yeah. Oh, is that how he got? It was okay because he was a doctor to have that much, or it was okay because he was a white
because
guy?
Because he was white guy.
Okay.
That was the basic, and I thought it was because he was a doctor, but shoot, the law said back during that time that you could have liquor as long as it was for your personal use. And as far as my interpretation of what they could really, what they were, if you had never been caught bootlegging or never been indicted for selling nothing, well, it was for your personal use.
That's right.
How else are they going to determine it, you know? But they would determine it. If you were black, you better not be caught with over a fifth.
Not written anywhere, but that's the way.
No, it's not written anywhere, but that's what they figured.
That's
yeah.
interesting.
That's what they wouldn't have you.
But a white doctor, he gets a case.
Yeah, a white doctor or a white individual. I don't see them stopping no white people, what they call the thing. They can have beer and whiskey in their car. That shoot,
Whatever they want.
But now, shoot, if you were of color, you better not be caught with it there, because they would take your liquor in most cases, the guys would tell me that they would take their liquor, and they would stay. The next morning, they would let them out of jail, no fine, but they would just take their liquor. Well, now my question to them was, why were your liquor open? No, they just take it. That's the way they do. And I said, they who? And they said the officers. Any officers stop you? Well, when they stopped me coming, I was in my car, but I was coming from over there. Well, now I had this whole case of a White Horse Scotch whiskey in my back, and they sound me down and searched me and all this stuff, you know, and of course I didn't have nothing. And one of them said, well, he got a case of whiskey back there. He said, a case? And oh shoot, they started reaching in and reaching and grabbing. I said, now, y'all had better read this note before you start doing that. Because now I'm working for Dr. Connor. I said, this is his stuff. You working for who, boy? And so I read back then and got my thing, and I showed it to him, that list. Yeah, shoot. One of them, well, we better take you down anyway. They took me down to the police station. And they went in and their chief told them, give that fellow that liquor back and let him on his way. Because he knew Dr. Connor. He didn't want all that junk. So, shoot, they put that stuff in the back of my car, and one of them said, now you go on, boy, don't you say nothing about this. I said, I'm going to tell Dr. Connor. So he went on.
What did the note say?
The note said that it was property of his.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
his liquor.
But so he knew that you were very likely to be stopped, and he knew that you were very likely to be
That is
hassled.
a possibility that he knew
Okay.
that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted something in there to verify the facts so they wouldn't be taking his liquor and stuff and making a big scene of something, and he'd have to get a lawyer, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what that was about.
How often, how probable was it that that you guys that were going to be pulled over? Did it happen a lot, or did there have to be cause?
If you were driving,
And you were
that's on-
just driving while
and
black.
you
they
were
call
a
it.
color.
Yeah.
That's it. And one of them happened to see you, he gonna pull you over.
What kind of law enforcement did you have in the Norris community?
Well, in the Norris community, we had Jack Tucker, and before him there was this other guy, Copeland. Let's see, Copeland. Oakley.
Mm-hmm.
Oakley was the officer down there. Because now I didn't know much about him, but I came in under Jack Tucker. He worked for the railroad, and he was also a police officer. And there was a time that he was only a police officer there. And he couldn't, it was later on when he finally had the authority to arrest whites. He couldn't arrest no white person. All he could arrest was blacks. And he could only arrest them on that side of the track. He could only wear his gun on that side of the track. But eventually, eventually he become chief of police, and then of course he could arrest or do anything with anybody, you know. But shoot, during that time, the talk was that like during the time back there that it came out that I was president of the organization at that time, and they arrested this champion boy, and somehow the officers from out here arrested him over there. But all they could do was hold him. And they called, and